Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These days are ours, share them with me. Happy days. These days are ours, happy and free. These happy days are yours and mine. These happy days are yours and mine. Happy days.
I'm so happy you brought back the Happy Days.
It's been
intro.
a year and something.
It's been so. I remember I used it for the. You used it in an episode, then I used it for the.
You used it for something else without my permission?
Yep.
I can't believe you.
And that's how I got my new job. No, I used it for our the intro for our 2018 year in review last year.
Yes,
Yeah.
well.
Anyway, this is Spark Madness. I'm Matt. That's Aaron over at
No, that's Wesley.
you see,
I always go last.
I don't
remember?
have the TV over here, so
Right.
that's Wesley. That's Aaron. So Ben's not here. Wesley, you're back on the show. It's been a while.
It has. It's been a minute. It's been
it's been many thousands of minutes.
Yeah.
It's been like a year.
It's been. I don't even remember what the last one was.
Me neither.
Wasn't it the wrong box?
Oh, it was
That
the
was
wrong
it.
box.
Yeah, that was
right.
earlier this
Yeah.
year, I think.
Yeah,
Almost
it was-
a year.
No,
No,
that was this year.
it was not this year.
Really?
I don't believe. Oh yeah. it
I
was,
can
yeah, it
prove
was,
you
yeah.
wrong,
I'm
but
pretty
let's
sure.
move on.
Anyway,
Yeah. I know why.
we haven't had a whole lot of guests this year to begin with, so this was well overdue. Last week we did Willow for the show,
Right.
and we're kind of, I guess, kicking off now a January month that is going to be fantasy related. On Facebook, I got a message, Aaron, from just somebody who clearly listens to our show. Amy.
Amazing. It's rare.
She sent me personally a link to a news article that they are making. They're making a sequel currently to Willow, like a sequel movie.
It's a series.
She it's a series.
With Disney
Okay,
Plus series, yeah.
She wanted to let me know personally
Yeah.
that they're making one. I think she, based off of our ratings last week, was rubbing it in that I was clearly in the minority for that movie, rating it as low as I did.
Yeah.
And I would never fault you for such.
It's just because you don't like little people.
That was the reason I said.
I mean, look at him.
You know,
They're so short, you can't trust them.
because Aaron and Ben gave it 6 and 7. I gave it a 3.
I saw that.
Have you seen Willow?
I saw it a couple times when I was really little. I have not revisited it since.
Okay.
I've thought about it because, actually, the reason I thought about it was just because I wanted to see Ron Howard do a fantasy movie. Like, I was interested in what that was like.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm now making the connect. No, I'm actually not making. You should have used Happy Days last week.
Should have.
Oh man,
That's the carryover. Well, I'm glad we're talking about it. We didn't talk a whole lot about Ron Howard during the Willow episode.
That's because in some movies, he doesn't really come through, I would say.
Yeah. Well, this week we're choosing Aaron. This is one that you've wanted to do for a while, right? Specifically,
That was on my list like when we started making the show.
I want to say when I used to have the list on my phone, it was one of the very first ones.
Yeah.
We are doing Legend from 1985.
Didn't make it cross the pond until 1986, but
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
it was a British movie.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah, well, I just wondered. It's all
Yeah,
American
there are a
cast.
lot of big
Well, except for-
names in this movie.
Yes,
Yeah,
Tom
it is.
Cruise, fresh off of Risky Business.
His second movie, right?
Mia Sara, right before Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep. And then obviously Ridley Scott, Tim Curry as
Oh, he worked.
Lord
He
of
doubled
Dark.
up with the Scots, huh?
Right, Billy Barty, right
This is
after,
a
or
bit-
right before Willow.
This was right before Top Gun, right?
Yes.
So he went from one Scot to the other. Passed him around like.
You get the claps.
Well done. So this was the first time I've ever seen Legend.
Yes.
For this movie, I borrowed Aaron's
For me,
Blu-ray.
this is yet another from my collection of Sunday afternoon movies.
Okay.
Movies I've been watching since I was a kid. Usually my brothers or my dad would have me watch them, and I'd enjoy them. This was one from my sister.
Oh.
One day she brought home a VHS and said, "Check this out. You're gonna love this."
Interesting. Wesley, where would Legend? Is this your first time seeing this movie, or had you seen it
This
before?
is the first time I had seen this. I've always known about it, and kind of the idea of it made me laugh. Just like when somebody's like, "Yeah, it's a fantasy movie. Stars Tom Cruise." I was like, "I'm out.
Wow.
I'm out."
so Ben kind of primed me.
He did.
This is why I started with Willow. He primed me because last week we were at the end of the episode. He's like, if you didn't like Willow, you're gonna hate this.
But he and I said that.
Yes. So let's dig into it, and at the end we'll give our ratings for the movie.
Depends why you wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
So if you're like, man, Willow just was not dark and hardcore enough for me.
There are
You'd be
comparisons to make.
You'll see. We'll see. From overall, I guess the
Wait a second. Both of them went to Top Gun next.
Who? What are you talking about?
Val Kilmer.
Amazing,
From Willow,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You don't
There's
think
a
I
lot of
considered that?
I didn't think about that. Just
Next
now.
week we're doing Top Gun.
Yeah.
The thread that actually made me think of it was Billy Barty, but
Billy Barty.
that is also a connection.
He went to Masters of the Universe.
Oh yeah,
So, just generally, if you haven't seen Legend,
story's very thin. We can get through it
I
pretty
envy
quick.
you.
we can just do it very quickly. There's Lord of Darkness, which is essentially the devil.
Right.
Although he's not
He's
devil.
not actually
He's not
the
in
devil.
hell.
He has a dad that he talks to.
So does the devil, but it's not.
This
the same one.
is more like if the devil was Dracula. Like
Yeah.
he's defeated by the sun.
Or he's like, just a really high-ranking demon.
He's trying to take over the world and
He can't do it as long as the sun's up.
go to eternal night. It's very
And the only way to do this is to chop off the horn of a unicorn. And well, you have to kill both of them. There's two of them.
you have to get rid of the unicorns because if apparently if the unicorns are alive, then the sun is allowed to come up.
And they don't have any wildlife preservation going on, so there's only two left. But he needs to kill them, and that's what he does.
He's very anti-environmental. This is about the environment, Aaron.
And we can always tie it
It's
to
always,
that.
always goes back. No, so then Tom Cruise and what's her name?
Mia Sara.
Mia Sara. They're both. She's kind of a princess, right? And
It depends on the cut you watch, actually.
Yeah.
she was a princess in my movie, in
Yeah,
the
she's
director's
not a
cut.
In the
princess in
director's
mine.
cut, she's a princess.
Okay.
In mine, she was there.
Yeah,
She's
they-
just
they-
She was there.
Okay,
Yeah.
she's just
Mel
a person.
calls her
Yeah.
a lady.
Okay.
A pure being.
Right.
Was what
Pure
they
being.
said, yeah.
Okay. I like that better because the princess thing never came up in any concrete
No,
way.
it was
so-
very scaled down from Ridley's original
Yeah.
screenplay.
And then Tom Cruise is just a forest
He's
kid.
a forest boy.
Forest boy, you know.
A feral child.
Fair.
Yes.
Yeah. And he stays there.
He was, what's his name? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
No, you might need
Donnie
help.
from the Wild Thornberries. Like, essentially.
Oh, hey.
I like that you just, Matt, you'll understand.
Yeah.
But
Which
I know
Tim
exactly
Curry
what
was
you're talking
also
about.
in, by
Yeah.
the way.
So many crossovers.
Can we get a Home Alone
That
cross-reference
was
here?
Flea. Donnie from the Wild Thornberries.
So essentially the mission is they got to save the last unicorn. That's basically what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. It's going to be killed.
And the Lord of Darkness is trying to track it down. Whatever happened? I actually don't remember now. What happened to the weird goblin guy
When I kill you,
Which one?
I'll
At the very
kill
start.
the last unicorn.
at the very start? You just
There's three goblin guys.
the one that got the main one with the and he sent the crew at the very start. Lord of
Are you
Darkness.
talking about Blix?
Probably. Tim Curry
Meg.
sent at
The
the
one
very
that's modeled after Keith Richards.
no, the one with the Joker
Long
smile.
nose.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he's got like a Joker smile.
No, I think that is the one that's based off of Keith Richards.
Okay. He's the one that ultimately kills the first unicorn and
Right.
gets the wand.
That is Blix.
What happened to Blix?
Forget about him. He's not important anymore.
I'll be honest. I fell asleep halfway through the movie.
Idiot.
Unrelated to Legend, and it has nothing to do with the movie. I just could not
Look
stay
at the
awake.
cinematography
The
behind you.
THC hit.
I woke. There is nothing behind. I can't see what's behind me.
Just imagine there's great cinematography behind you.
I remember the first half of the movie being kind of like hard to keep up with, and the second half I liked a lot. So I don't remember what happened. I didn't know what happened to Blix.
Nothing really comes of him later on. He's ignored.
So the adventure is to save the last unit, track it down, rescue it, make sure it doesn't get in the hands. Ultimately, Mia
And get rid of darkness.
gets captured, sort of. We'll talk about that here
Yeah,
in a
she
minute.
does.
There's a bunch of other characters that join up with Tom Cruise.
Dwarves,
right?
fairies.
Yeah. One of them I thought looked like, I couldn't play. He looked like Asa Butterfield, the little guy.
Oh, yeah. Gump?
The elf. Yeah,
Gump?
Gump. Something Gump.
Yeah.
Honeythorn Forest. Yeah.
Honeythorn
Literally,
Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Excellent.
Oh, what would we do without you?
Yeah, then it becomes a fight at the end to kind of rescue everybody.
Yeah, very
so that-
standard fairy tale story.
Yeah, because they've ultimately captured the unicorn, and
And
how are they going to get out of it?
It kind of boils down to being one of those old Grimm's fairy tales, really, because it's kind of a very dark
Grimm
story,
fairy
and
tale?
if you do a bad thing, you will die. That sort of fairy tale.
What? So Wesley, having watched it for the first time, also, I guess what kind of stood out for you? Good or bad? Like if you were to if somebody came up to you, he's like, "Oh yeah, I just watched Legend." We were talking before. You were like, "This is a pretty metal movie."
Yeah.
I don't know if you're 100% joking or not, but what kind of stands out from you?
No, it's absolutely. It's like, it feels like a really, really expensive B movie. Like it's no holds barred into its world, which I admired. But this is, like you said, if I was going to tell somebody about it, I wouldn't be like, so this happens and this. I would be like, you got to see this. You just got to watch
Yeah,
it.
it kind of belies.
It's an experience.
You got to. Yeah, like
It's kind of a ride.
a friend of mine texted me while I was watching it. He was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I was just like, "Have you seen Legend?" And he was like, "With Tom Hardy?" And I was like, "No, that's what I said."
Wrong Tom.
Yeah, and I was like, with Tim Curry, he was like, yeah. He was like, "Do you recommend it?" And I was like, "For you, yes," because he's a big fan of shrooms. So I was like, "Yes, next time you partake, man, watch this movie." He was like, "What's it like?" I was like, "All I could say is." It had I was like, I'm halfway through it and I feel like I'm watching a Gaspar Noé movie. And it's really not a story. It's
Not really, no.
it's a thing happens and then another thing happens.
This is actually it followed the pace of kind of the journey of like this thing happens to get to the next thing, and then we got to get through this thing, and then there's this other detail, and then we're gonna go. It's very hero journey thing that I actually said on the show that I wished that Willow
Mine was different than yours. So
Willow
mine was
did more
like
of
the
it.
Spark Notes version, I think.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Not in the way that it's literally so much more condensed, but yeah, it does.
It's abridged.
It's a bit more punctuated.
So
Yeah.
can you explain maybe what? So I watched the director's cut. You guys watched the
I watched the director's cut for this show as well.
okay, but you watched the theatrical.
Yeah, and
version?
it's like
Okay.
a tight 90 minutes.
I can go into.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right, so
the
yours is
version you
short.
watched, Matt, is an hour 53.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
and the UK original theatrical cut is like 4 minutes longer than the US theatrical.
Oh,
And Ridley Scott even cut the whole reason there's
Ridley
so many
Scott
cuts.
favoritism.
Well, no, when he originally showed the work print like for test audiences, people were like snickering and laughing, and he could smell weed. And he was like, "Wow, I need to cut this movie down to keep people interested." So he kind of sabotaged his own movie.
Oh, okay.
But in the end,
Okay.
I don't mind the other cuts. I still like them.
Interesting. All right, so in your version, theatrical cut, was the like petals, glitter, snowflake budget also just absurdly
Yes.
high?
Yes.
The what?
The
There's glitter on everything.
The budget for
yeah.
just flakes of shit
Yeah,
falling
that,
from the
that
sky.
never stops.
Okay, all right.
I see. That's funny that you say that because I was gonna say one of the things I wrote.
Does anybody here take a bath?
I didn't.
Just things are permanently on their skin for the rest of their
never
lives.
coming off.
I was talking to somebody when I was watching it. I was like, man, the bubble budget in this movie
Yeah.
is high. Like,
There's a lot of bubbles.
As soon as the fairies show up, there's bubbles everywhere. Like,
Everywhere.
what? But wouldn't you expect that from fairies?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
So Aaron, what hearing
oh
what
yeah, this is. I was like, I wrote something about the bubbles. The bubble score that I got,
Very different.
it's the exact same as the scene from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where Raphael meets Casey Jones. It's the
Okay.
exact same score.
Wow.
Like I stopped and played it back and watched them both
Two
at the same
important
time.
cinematic moments.
Interesting.
Well, I would say yes to the TMNT, but
Okay. Matt, you had a question.
Aaron. So when
Jose
you're
Canseco bat.
Aaron, when your sister gave you this movie, what was, I guess, ultimately, what was her reason for giving it to? Like, what did she
Metal.
love about this movie?
Well, she was way into the high fantasy at the time, and that's
Sure.
That's what this movie is.
It really is.
It felt like
Yeah.
a Mercedes. Like, do you know Mercedes Lackey?
No.
I worked at a bookstore, and I thought she always had the most metal like fantasy covers because it would be like somebody on a Pegasus with a sword that's on fire holding the head. I was like, this is
kind of like that, yeah.
I had a lot of that in here.
But you see, this movie's like the old fairy tales, and the story wasn't the important part of those. It's the lesson you learn that was the important part. And they took that idea further, I think, by enhancing the movie with the best visuals they could. And that's kind of how the movie survives.
It felt like the story was dictated by like what they thought they could.
This was
do
like a
well.
campfire story, dude.
Yeah, it felt like a and then like we were all doing an improv, and it's like.
And to the movie's credit, for being high fantasy, it doesn't have loads of exposition. It kind of
That's exactly what I wrote. The first thing I wrote was no exposition, so that's a strength. But
And
at
it's
the
not
same
even
time,
needed.
I was like, what is happening?
You're
Like, he walks
seeing
into the
it
room and he
happen.
he walks and gets the golden sword, and I was like, what is this? What is
they
this
said
thing?
they needed weapons and they knew where to find them.
They found like Excalibur.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
What more do you need?
All right. No, I was on
You've
board.
been trained to need too much exposition.
No, I have not. Like, I just wanted a word.
A word like what? We must go to find the hidden cave of Dragulus. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Makes the movie longer.
When you talked about exposition, I see it was strong to me that this movie limited it. Maybe it could have done a little bit more. I thought I didn't find it have any issue with the amount of information coming in and out.
Just enough.
My biggest problem last week with Willow, which is high fantasy, was from a performance standpoint, the writing standpoint, they relied so much on all this dialogue and interplay between the characters,
That's where
and
I started to
hoping it
fall
would
asleep.
help. For me, like I said last week, it just felt totally flat. In this case,
It does some.
I actually thought the performances across the different characters were fine, and they limited the talk to just be let's make this fun, and let's hit let's get the unicorn, let's get them on the sword, let's chop someone's head off, here's some fire, here's some creepy guy that is gonna like with a gimp mask for some reason.
Yeah.
What they really nailed, I thought, where I disagree with you, Wesley, and like I wish I had more, was I felt like they gave the lines to the right person, which was the Lord of Dark. I felt like they gave him the time to talk, and he was. This is why I didn't like the first half of the movie, where they spent a little too much time with Tom Cruise and
I will say Tom Cruise was the weakest performance. But did you know that Tom Cruise made it that way on purpose? In the original scripts, Tom Cruise had a much bigger role speaking-wise, and he said, we need to make this simpler. This doesn't work for this guy.
I'm glad you said that, because I had written down, I was thinking about this on the way over, which I think is a microcosm of his performance for the whole movie, was at the very end, at the end of their whole adventure, he looks into her eyes and he's like, sing me a song. And while she's singing to him and looking at him, he's doing that thing that he did the whole movie where he's like blankly smiling at her. And then he's like, during that scene, he like gets distracted and looks off to the side. And then
I wish he'd sing a different song.
And then he just finally looks back at her. It's just like
Probably an editing room thing.
He just totally. So this was my version. Maybe
I'm
it
glad
wasn't
you brought
in
that
yours,
up,
but-
Matt.
I didn't
though.
get to sing me a song.
Okay, yeah.
Matt, I'm glad you brought that up. And Wesley, I read your notes before the show.
Yeah.
And you had the Legend of Zelda written in there.
Yes.
And
That's not where I thought you were going, but yeah.
watch me now. I enjoy the woodenness, the hollowness of the Jack character, because it allows the viewer to project themselves on him. Know what I mean? And they do the same
Like
thing
Keanu
in
Reeves.
video games,
He
where the main character doesn't
yes,
talk.
yeah, he's like
project-
Keanu Reeves.
But the main character in Zelda games doesn't talk. That way you can put yourself in their shoes. Kind of the same way with Jack.
It does have a kind of a video game feel where you've got the like little helpers with you. And
Everybody else is pretty well rounded except him.
they're going to help you get your pie tin frisbees lined up just right, and so that and then if you won't get a do-over, but like here's the thing, you got to put it here, and then
Do I detect sarcasm?
No, I'm serious. It is very video gamey. It kind of has that
Only in the sense
quality
that
to
it isn't afraid to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie certainly not afraid to have fun, especially with the frisbees.
Did yours have the opening crawl?
No, I can tell you all the
No.
differences.
Oh, mine has an
didn't
opening
have
crawl.
an opening
Wesley's
crawl.
version
Star
of the
Wars.
movie has an opening crawl because of all the cut exposition.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it doesn't
Oh,
even
I
tell
see.
you anything.
Okay.
It tells you enough.
It
Willow
very
had an
loose.
opening crawl.
There's an opening crawl, and it says
Similarities.
like one like Jack is gonna bring balance, and I was like, come on, man, this is straight. This
Oh,
is
they
Star
said
Wars.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, Star Wars
Okay.
invented the
Okay.
idea of a balanced like
I'm
diet.
guessing
or
the
something.
director's cut is probably
No,
better.
but it's come on, it really brought it to the forefront.
I disagree.
There's a lot of Star Wars.
I've never watched that opening crawl and thought Star Wars.
When
Never,
we
ever.
opened the show, I was going to say this has a lot of lightness, darkness.
That's the whole theme. You can't have good without bad.
The Force Awakens. Remember I think it was the Force Awakens. As long as we've got light, we've got hope. And that,
Yeah,
which is
that
the
was bad.
cheesiest line ever. This movie had a little
But
bit of those.
that wasn't how he meant it. He meant like as long as
He meant it really badass, you know.
no, he meant like it was a ticking clock.
I know,
But-
I'm aware, but it has the
Yeah.
double meaning
Yeah.
stuff. Whatever. I don't want to lose sight of. We were talking about the Tim Curry's character.
He was certainly the
He's
forefront.
So badass.
It was pretty cool.
It is.
The costume was pretty cool.
The
Pretty
glowing fingernails and eyes were awesome.
That was not in Matt's version.
Oh, it's not.
In
His
more
nails
more
and eyes
differences.
I had
green.
no
It's
glowing.
great.
In the beginning-
no glowing in mine.
In the U.S. cut, they show him at the very beginning of the movie. He's sitting on his throne. They actually show him because in your version they didn't show him.
They didn't show him, which I
Oh, wow.
loved.
They show him and he's in like neon blue light and his eyes and nails are glowing green. It's kind of cool actually.
It's dope. It's
Really?
like a really cool.
He gives like a better I don't like his little soliloquy at the beginning of
I
your
liked
cut,
it. I
Matt.
liked it.
But the soliloquy
his,
in the U.S. version's a little nicer, I thought.
It was It's. I thought from that opening scene, I was like, "We're good. This is gonna be."
He
badass."
basically
and I didn't get what I wanted.
He
but-
basically repeats.
He does it twice.
He
Yeah.
repeats the soliloquy twice in the same
Right.
the movie.
And
so
in his
yeah.
cut, the U.S. cut, he doesn't do the same one
Okay.
twice.
Yeah,
You know what vibe I got from that opening? Like the first thing
That was
I
a
thought
music
of
video.
Huh?
It was like a music video.
In mine?
Yeah. With the glowing blue and everything.
Yeah, no, like
It's like in an EDM club or something.
Well, yes, but no, I mean him talking to what was it Blix?
Yeah.
What reminded me of Scar.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Talking
see
to
that.
Yago to eats the rat.
Except it's
When he
way
eats the
better,
rat.
you know.
But it's that same. He's that same character, like that same type of character.
You could argue that it's a mistake to show your villain that early in the movie. It never bothered me. I could see where it would be important not to show him, and that might be why it's better to watch the longer version
for
first.
me, what I would have gotten out of it, or like the way that because I thought that I was
At
like,
least they
it
don't
would've
show
been
him in a
cooler
full light.
if I didn't see him until the end. But then I changed my mind because I couldn't get a vibe on. It gave me more of a reason to identify with two characters that I personally thought were plinks.
Right.
You know what I mean? So once I was like, oh, this is what they're up against.
Yeah.
It gave me that. Because if you had just thrown me into, Pegasus Land or Unicorn Land, I would have been like,
Exactly.
I'm out.
Well, and that's what
I'm out.
That's a lot of what my version was. Why I said I was like I really did not enjoy
The two
first
versions
half
are
of the-
drastically different.
I really did not enjoy the first half of the movie. So imagine
The director's cut is more
direct-
like a Disney movie, I would
director's cut starts basically until you see him with you hear his voice telling Blix whatever to go get the horn because he wants to take over the world and he's evil, but you never see him, and then it's like
say. You don't see him till an hour into
it's
the
like
movie.
40 minutes of Unicorn Land and just like frolicking for a while, and then Blix is getting this like minor characters trying to get the horn, but he's not intimidating, and it's like 40 minutes of just that. You don't necessarily get the weight of the situation or the evil or like what they're battling against. It's very
Right.
kind of
That is one instance where I prefer the U.S. version because it gives you a little taste, but not too much.
yeah.
I may have missed, but in the U.S. version, what I didn't get was the hold up. You know what I mean? Like
The
why?
hold up.
Why now? Like what?
That's true.
What
Like-
better place in here? What better time than now?
Yeah,
It does seem like I've decided on next Tuesday.
He could have woke up
is the
yesterday
day.
for the first time ever. We don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is like I didn't understand. Like there was.
I
it
never
seemed
thought
like
about
there
it,
were
but now that you
rules,
bring it up.
but they didn't. They didn't follow those rules.
He's just
and that's-
been like doing his thing for thousands of years.
Well,
probably.
at one point he said
He
like,
finally hired the last gimp guy he needed. He's like, all right, I've got a complete set.
not to be
here."
confused with Gump.
no. Yes,
He
but
applied
no.
too, but he didn't-
Yes,
he
but
didn't
no.
get the job.
What I'm saying is like, was there a? I'm okay with if he was like, all right, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like I'm tired of this. Let's go.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean-
just get. But what I don't get was why it seemed like I would have. I think it would have benefited from having a like this is the time, like
Of all the things to criticize in this movie, you're criticizing when he decided to start taking over the world.
What if you did? I wish they would do a recut. He did an additional recut where they just took him introducing like.
He hits the alarm clock. All right, today's the day.
No. It's just like you take the scene of introducing it and move it like 20 minutes after just the over saccharine, over fluffy crap between Tom Cruise
But then
and her.
you'd be even more bored.
But I'm saying it's like the reason he wants to take over the world is he's so tired of them.
we must
Like,
get rid of this Tom Cruise.
we can't handle, and then it becomes you support the villain.
That's kind of what happens anyway. Because as
like a Jason movie.
as fantasy
yeah.
as fantasy babble as this movie is, the Darkness character is kind of well rounded for what he is.
No, I'm not talking about why he decided now. If he was just like,
Are we still
it's
on
fine.
this?
No. I'm trying to make a
your
point.
thought.
I'm trying to make a
Complete your thought.
point.
Complete
Which
your
it's, I couldn't understand what the rule was because somebody said something about like the only way that you can get to a unicorn is through innocence.
That is
Innocence.
He
Yes.
asked where to find the unicorns, and he said that's where you will find them, around something innocent.
But in the crawl, it says like a unicorn can only be found by a pure being,
Sure.
and so that's why
I didn't get that in mind, but
No, he
sure.
didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't
so-
need it.
But at one point, and at least in mine, they said something about that's how we found the unicorn is we followed her.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they find the unicorn
I kinda
again
like
without
that.
her.
So what?
Oh, I see.
So they find the other
there's an
unicorn. They're just like
inconsistency, sure.
Plot hole.
No.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not saying plot hole. They're
How
trying
can they
to-
find a
I'm
unicorn a
saying-
second time without Lily? What kind of movie is this?
You're taking me too literally.
You're taking the movie too literally.
No, I'm not. I'm trying. Like all I'm saying was like I would have for me. One thing that I think would have improved this movie is that if there was a catalyst to what he's doing,
Sure.
like
This is the hill you're gonna die on.
it would have.
There's
improved
so
the
much
movie
more
for
to
me.
pick at in this
Did
movie.
they find the second unicorn by just like projecting whale sounds out?
You know
into
how
the
they found the
universe?
second unicorn? They tracked them as they were running.
Did your movie have whale sounds? The
Yes, they both have the whale sounds.
The unicorns alternate between horse sounds
It's very
and
cool.
whale sounds.
I like it. You don't like it?
I thought that was ridiculous.
I thought it was pretty cool.
That's not the hill I'll die on, but
Oh no, it gives them an
That part
otherworldly
reminded
feel.
me of-
You know?
the like I always want to say Lisa Frank, but it's not Lisa Frank.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, but like the posters that from the 90s,
The
with
fuzzy like black light posters with
yeah,
unicorns.
with like
and
unicorns and the moon and a dolphin
Yeah,
in
sure.
space.
Yeah.
My
That's
sister had that kind of crap.
hardcore. What I got from this,
so one of the last
especially
scenes-
the forgiveness.
Right.
Forgive me.
Oh,
I was like,
That scene is
whoa.
way better in Wesley's version. The music is pretty
No,
tight.
it's terrible.
I have no idea what you're
It
even
is
talking about.
Terrible.
Forgive me.
I already know to ignore your
It's
opinion
terrible.
by this point.
Forgive
Here's
me.
what I wrote during
The
that
scene
story.
where
It's
Tom
like,
Cruise like inches up to the mayor and is like, "I'm really sorry about all
yeah, where he
this."
drops in the snow.
There's a
Yeah.
mayor?
There's a boy and a
Mayor,
girl
like
unicorn.
female unicorn. yeah.
I see.
Yes,
where-
I'm the mayor of the forest. Horse has got its
It's like I don't know. Maybe
horse
there
has got
was.
its hooves on its suspenders. Yes, fine day in the
There's
forest.
Andy Serkis is in that version playing the mayor of the forest.
For that, I wrote the Tangerine Dream score. While not for me, if you're into this type of thing, it's probably the best of that.
Well, it's not too unlike Blade Runner, you know.
It is way different than Goblin.
It's different. What did
I
you
just
say?
said Goblin. Not Goblin.
It's different to Blade Runner, yeah, but it's not too dissimilar.
I don't think it's like it at all.
They're synthesizers,
They're
okay?
synthesizers, but the vibe is completely different. The feel. I
As,
could not stand
as is
this-
any soundtrack
this-
from one to the other.
I would not compare the two.
You are a quibbler.
All right, I need to get. We're running out of time.
Who cares? We
one
have more to cover.
I really want to cover, especially. I didn't even think about this till just now because you're on Wesley, but you did our Annihilation episode way back when, and that movie has that like crazy dance at the end, that mirror dance.
Yeah.
And I also got vibes from this movie of House on Haunted Hill. Or Haunting on Hill House.
The show or-
the show,
okay.
where remember there's that scene where she dances with I think her dead husband maybe.
Right. In this one, she
Yeah,
dances
yeah,
with
yeah.
her
And
dress.
and then she dances with that
Yeah.
sparkly
It's a black
faceless
dress,
person.
yeah.
I kind of loved that scene.
That scene
in
was
this
very
movie.
good scene, yeah.
I
I
thought
thought
that
of
was
the-
cool.
And did you
Cool.
notice
Water.
like the little statues coming to life and watching her?
The what?
The Shape of Water was what I
Oh
thought
yeah,
of,
The Shape of Water. Sorry, what did you say? Oh yeah, the statues.
The statues
Yeah.
were coming to life and walking around watching her.
I
Sort of
felt
like,
like kind of the
Beauty and
theme.
the Beast.
There was a line in this movie where, at least in my version, where at the very end, when the Lord of Darkness is about to be defeated by Tom Cruise, and he's
Same
like,
in both movies.
and he's like, "What is light without dark? I'm a part of you all." I felt like that theme didn't play through whatsoever, except from that dancing scene. That was the one scene that, if everything else had been a little bit better, that was the moment that really tied it all together. That like you're balancing conflicting sides and you're making a choice, and she was tempted in that moment. I thought that dancing scene where she ultimately just morphs into somebody wearing the dress was pretty cool.
Right, more so in the unicorn touching scene than that one, but they work in some Adam and Eve stuff in the movie. I appreciated that.
Yeah, I had that in my notes too. I was like, this is
I was glad
absolutely
you picked up on that.
like when
she
when
touches the unicorn,
touches
she's not supposed to.
The
But that
forbidden
actually
fruit
doesn't actually
brings
do
darkness into the
anything.
world.
They
I
think
didn't
it.
even think
They
about any of
think it
this.
caused all the problems, but it doesn't.
It's too distracted by the
Yeah, they thought
hurricane of
it was
petals.
the like poison.
That
dart,
was
right?
amazing looking. All right, so cool.
And then they did a snow scene and just reused the petals.
Yeah. You know that whole
I like the
forest is
little-
a set.
I like the whole little foreshadowing of when she's looking at her clock.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it snaps. Is that in both?
Yes.
Okay. Where she's looking at the clock and then it's like icy everywhere and she like snaps out of it.
I don't remember that. I
And then
just
she comes back and it shows the exact same shot.
I just
Matt was
remember-
busy writing notes. I'm bored.
No, when you mentioned clock, I remember the like weird.
She gets into the lady's house, looks at the clock, it freezes over in her little vision.
that
Oh right,
ADR was
pretty bad.
terrible.
I thought you were
with
talking
her
about
friend.
Honeythorn Gump's like ball where he's like, it's
Oh my god, the clock.
14
500 beats of a
snails
whip-
past a
yeah.
whatever. It's just like a snowball that he was holding.
That's so funny that you brought that up because they actually use it as a clock in your cut, but they don't even mention it in Wesley's cut. And
Yeah,
there's a
it's like, what are you
shot
talking
where
about?
Gump's like, "We don't have much time," and he holds up the ball. So it's like,
I
what
was
is
like, what are you
that?
talking about?
Yeah, he holds like that gooey ball, and he's just like,
Yeah,
this
it
it's
wasn't in your cut,
4:13.
Wesley.
we got.
It wasn't in your
Yeah,
cut.
no.
Another important difference between the cuts, the ending is different. Wesley, you saw
Mine, he says when
The
they're
singing.
fighting and he's like, "You can't defeat me." He says, "I am your father."
no.
I
I'm gonna
see.
mute you.
Okay.
He doesn't say that, but
I thought it was going there. That's why I was like, if he says, "You're my son,"
oh my god, that would have been bad.
that's
No,
where
at
I
the end
thought
of
it
the
was going.
movie, in his cut, Lily and Jack run off together into the sunset. Doesn't happen in yours, Matt.
Oh, okay.
Because in your cut, Matt, she kind of like leaves him.
She ditches him.
Yeah. It's kind of a bittersweet ending, right?
Pretty fun.
She's just like, "Can I come back tomorrow? I got to go do princess stuff."
Yeah, and he fished out. Did he fish out the ring?
Yeah,
in
he
yours?
did.
So he gets the ring, and so he ends up with her, right?
That reminded
Yeah,
me
he
of
does.
Spider-Man 3.
It's implied
So
that she
hard.
stays with him.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second, because I just watched that
In-
the other night. I was like, what?
But
It's
even
the
more
exact same.
important. Okay, even more important than that, on the ending of the U.S. cut that Wesley watched, it shows darkness overlaid, and he's laughing as if he's still out there somewhere.
oh my, that's so much better.
I know. That plays into his theme.
He just gets shot into space in mine and becomes
Then he's
stars.
gone.
Yeah,
Well, he does that in his cut.
Interesting.
But they
another
show him again.
refrain in Ridley Scott movies,
weird.
getting shot into space.
Oh, okay.
Very
All right.
important difference. Also, the soundtrack. I really like the synthesizer soundtrack.
awful.
No, I thought it
It's
was
so dated. It's so.
Who cares if it's dated?
I didn't hear
Me.
that one, so.
dated doesn't mean bad.
That's true. While you're correct,
It gives it a
does not
different
work
feel
for me.
to the-
It does not work for me. I listened to the while I was driving. I listened to the Jerry Goldsmith score, and I was like, "This is awesome."
It's a very good score. Don't get me
awesome.
wrong. I love it, but I like the darkness that the synthesizer score has.
See, it didn't. I didn't get a darkness. It made me think of like Berlin or
Berlin.
yeah. It had a very like take my breath away. Like it had that.
Were you
kind of 80s
expecting Giorgio Moroder?
It's no, but when you said it's like Blade Runner feels like it's from another planet. This
That's
feels like
exactly how I would talk about this one.
no.
it feels
sounds
otherworldly.
Like, no, it doesn't. It sounds like synth pop. It's so like you could like almost Madonna esque.
Vangelis is synth pop too.
We'll have to take a vote on people's...
See, here's the thing. I love both scores. I'm just talking about what I like about them.
Yeah. All right, any last thoughts before we rate the movie?
You know what I will give this movie is like one thing that I like about a movie is where I can't visualize the movie being made. while watching it.
Can't like yeah.
It felt like a real world.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I can't see
Very
a camera
well
crew.
realized.
I can't imagine that. I was like, I'm this the hellscapes. I was like, these feel real.
I wrote that down too. That Ridley Scott. I feel like that was
He's great at
excellent
that.
kind of set direction.
It is
and
one of the
building
most, like,
these environments.
As far as viewing experiences goes, it was one of the most sublime of my entire life. It's a beautiful movie.
The when they get stuck in that prison basically and have to escape, and it's all fire and stuff everywhere. That was
it's terrifying.
That was a spooky scene. That like to set the danger level up a notch for a minute.
I would have really enjoyed this to see it in a theater. It would have had more of an impact. And that's it. Like if I had seen it when you did in life, I probably would like love this movie. But because I saw it now, I just don't see it with the same.
You have no soul
eyes.
now. It's fine.
Yeah, I have no soul.
Well, as you know, I rated Willow 3 last week, so we'll see how this one goes. Yeah,
I have a final thought.
go ahead.
I mentioned earlier that Darkness was kind of well-rounded for being a mustache-twirling bad guy, you know? Mm-hmm. That is my favorite part of the movie, is when he's talking to his dad, and he's like, I really like this girl. What am I supposed to do?
Dad.
And then later, she's already got that, like, the dress on, and she's talking to him, and she says that he disgusts her, and it cuts to his face, and he looks really disappointed. That was a moment of actual emotion, and I enjoyed that.
So I mean,
There was also
I
the,
may
like,
be an
when he
idiot.
They gave the bad guy feelings. That's what I'm saying.
He said he loves her, and when she's like, love.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
You guys have mentioned the dad now twice. I have zero memory.
The
of
voice
the
that's
dad.
talking to him.
It's a disembodied voice.
Yeah. When
he's
he's like,
Father, like I'm drawing, and it sounds
No
like
memory.
the
None.
voice sounds like the lady from the Poltergeist, the psychic.
yeah,
from the
it's kind of
Poltergeist.
a high.
How many
pitched,
times
scratchy.
does the voice come in?
three? No, it's like 3 times in mine.
Well, it's like a callback on one of them, but it's
At what point in the movie?
kind of in
Right
the middle.
before the dance,
Yeah.
he says like, "Make her one of us."
Oh, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
But it sounds like
that's
Blix,
Dad.
so you probably thought it was Blix. It
No,
sounds like,
I thought it was. That's the like weird face in the wall with the green
They
eye.
personify the voice with the face, yes.
Okay. Yeah. I was kind of tuning out at that point, and then I woke up and made
Oh
a
yeah,
face.
you said you
We
fell
didn't
asleep
even
with
talk
the-
about the Swamp Thing monster. I thought that was pretty
By
good.
the
God,
witch?
we should.
The witch was.
We can go over, I don't
amazing.
care.
That's in my notes too. That's the.
I'll bet you
I
guys
thought that
can
was
never
really
guess who
good.
was in that suit.
Oh, it's a suit.
Yes,
Oh,
there's a
wh-
person in there.
Johnny Depp.
No.
Okay.
The Johnny Depp connection was that Blix is based on Keith Richards, which
was-
Johnny
Oh,
Depp's
gotcha, yeah.
pirate was too.
Jack Sparrow.
The guy who's Chewbacca.
The guy, no, it wasn't.
The guy who's Predator.
He was in Star Trek.
I don't know.
Worf.
No, it was the guy who plays the hologram doctor.
I don't know.
I have a picture of him. Let me see if I can get it up.
All right.
You'll know him.
TV.
Ben's probably once he listens
Yeah.
back on this, he's
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
screaming.
Let me get the.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
There.
It's in a lot of stuff.
No. Man, this is hard to do. I'll get it fixed. Don't you
All
worry.
right.
Give me a moment and it's be in there.
One thing I had in my version, I don't know if you felt this way, Wesley, for the other one, was I felt like it was, and maybe because it was.
That guy.
Oh, you get it up? Okay.
Did you just ask Aaron if you got it? Up?
Did you get it up? I felt like it was edited pretty weirdly, my version,
Yes.
at least.
I
I thought it
wrote-
was
I wrote
cut at
editing down,
very weird moments and like really abrupt at times,
Yes.
and it didn't have the same fluidity of
You did have the
Willow.
scene with like the handmaiden girl, right?
at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was edited so terribly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
There's actually extra people in Matt's cut that you didn't see.
Really?
There's a guy sitting on the chair. He's like, "Oh, I'm here too." He's
Where they
asleep.
and then they freeze to death
Yeah,
for no
they're dead.
reason. All right, let's rate the movie.
All right.
Last week I went first. Who?
Go
I think
ahead,
you should
Aaron.
go
This
first
is-
again.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first. Fine. Given that I think everyone should see this movie, it doesn't matter which cut; they're both worth watching. Again, I have lots of fond feelings of this movie, but if I were to evaluate it, pretty objectively as well as I could, I give it a 6.
Okay.
I think everyone should see it.
Right in line with Willow.
Right in line with Willow, but I like it better than Willow.
Okay.
I just think they're both on a similar level on a bones level.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Wesley?
I think I would give it a 6 too.
Okay.
In the sense that like this isn't necessarily for me, just like that score. But if you like this is probably the best of it, and I can actually see myself rewatching this because it's immersive.
And there's more than one version to watch.
Well, that's fair too. I should probably watch the director's cut so I know what the hell's going on. One note I wanted to add about it that I was going to say a minute ago. You know, like a lot of people, the joke is, "Oh, what was your favorite part when it ended?" Mine was that, but not for that reason.
Right.
But I got the best laugh out of it. The third credit at the end, his name's Vic Armstrong, first unit director and unicorn master. I was like, that's awesome.
Unicorn Master.
yeah, I'll wrangle the unicorn.
I was like,
great.
can you imagine the fight he had with his dad?
Wouldn't believe the
about
trouble we had getting
when he
him.
went to college.
Wow.
Where are you going to be? Look at me
be a
now, Dad.
unicorn master,
Look at me now,
Dad.
Dad.
You didn't believe in me.
Unicorns aren't real.
That's the best screen credit
he put
of all time.
he put horns on every pet he ever had.
You know.
That's how you become a unicorn master.
So what's your rating, man?
I'm giving this a 3 out of 10. Much like Aaron, I'm giving it the same score as Willow. I'm going back and forth.
You seem more positive, though.
I seemed more positive.
No, you seem more positive because I watched the Willow.
It's-
I got
the
last
message that you enjoyed it more than Willow.
Yes,
I think I did. I think I would give this more.
So
Which
this is an academic score. You get
Oh yeah. I even have in my notes a split chart of what is good and bad about Willow.
You
and
did a
Legend.
table?
Yes.
Could you be any more mechanical?
It's so yes. That's how I think about it.
I mean, I put the microchips in the morning, and just like everybody else, one by one.
I run diagnostics and off I go.
I mean, everybody does, don't they?
No, so I when I think about Willow, there are differences. Willow has like
That's some better acting.
the bigger. See, I would disagree there.
Well,
I
only Darkness is the really good actor. in this.
Darkness
I would
is
say
the only one acting.
only Val Kilmer is the only.
Okay,
is that
okay,
in
you're
that
right.
one.
Similar then.
I feel like Willow has more of the like overall pretty nice action, like big action pieces that go on for like they're longer
And
sequences
they're great,
where
but
you're
they're mired by all the
enjoying it.
exposition in between.
Right. And that's what I have in the negative. In this, it's I wasn't a big fan of the long flowery fantasy stuff at the start.
So what
I
you're
really
saying
didn't
is,
like that.
if this was the Legend of Willow, one really,
Yes.
it would balance out nicely.
If they threw in the darkness into Willow, then now we're cooking.
You really are a great unicorn master.
The thing I loved about Legend was darkness, and I loved once it started to bring in kind of the weirdness. Once the weirdness came in with that dance scene and the crazy fire,
that was
and-
great. Where it lost me was anything having to do with Jack.
right.
Anything to do
Yes.
with them, I was like, none of their dialogue makes sense.
No.
It's just like they're saying fantasy sounding things. to
I
me.
got so much like Children
Sorry,
of the
I'm not trying to yuck your yum, but that's how it vibed for me.
Sorry, yuck my yum.
Yes.
Well, and like Gump was
16 and up,
was
geez.
the like was just like the propellant. He was just like, we got to do this now, and oh, you got to get the sword. And he also just reminded me of the kid from Children of the Corn for some reason the
He's
whole
a
time
20-year-old.
in that movie.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A 20-year. I looked it up. I was like, who's this kid?
Wow.
I was like, oh, no, it's a grown man.
Huh. Okay.
He has
All
the
right.
same thing that Andy Milonakis has.
You know what's really funny? After we
Really?
did Willow,
Yeah. Oh,
right, Matt, after we did Willow, I said we should do Legend.
yes.
I was talking to my dad the other day, and I said, you know what I watched the other day was Willow, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. I tried to get, and then he says, I tried to get Legend on the TV to let the kids watch that, and I was like, how did you and I come to the same thread at the same time?
Wow,
So
it's pretty great. All right, what
I am my dad.
what
I
did
guess.
Dad say for watching next week?
He did not say Conan.
Okay.
Okay.
I have Never Ending Story lined
Never-Ending
up,
Story.
so I would say we're probably going to do that next week.
Okay.
But if you also are
Amazing.
if you're interested in following along, we're finally on Spotify actually.
Yeah.
So if you consume your podcast, the audio version
Consume.
You can subscribe to us on Spotify. We're also, a handful of us are at least going to go and record an episode for the You're Gonna Love This or Not podcast tomorrow.
They're nearby, aren't they?
Yes. They're also Indianapolis based, and they watch bad movies on purpose. So
we do too.
We've
I
done
think
that.
that's their focus.
Yes, that's their primary thing. They release once a month.
That's
so
their bread and taters.
we're gonna record an episode with them tomorrow. Should be really fun.
What movie are you
I think
watching?
it goes out.
Yeah, they said the name of the movie.
It's
Dinosaur something.
Tammy and the T-Rex.
Oh my
something.
God. Oh my God, guys.
By your response, I think you know what it is.
Yeah, I know what it is.
I've never seen it, so
Oh.
I know just nothing
Never
about
heard
it.
of
You particularly are not going to like
Is this going to
movie.
be like a Care Bears in Wonderland situation?
I avoided that episode. You
Does
guys
this-
did. So
Oh my God. You know what? This is it's do you like Howard the Duck?
I haven't seen that.
Taming
so.
the T-Rexes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I think I have a feel for what it's going to be. now.
Well,
Oh boy.
So definitely follow. I think the episode's going up next Thursday. So we're recording tomorrow. Episode's up next Thursday. The YG. I think if you just follow YGLTON podcast.
By the way, Ben commented, he's a lot of work he's doing right now. Willow is excellent, you fools, he says. Well said, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Yeah, well done.
I'm in your spot. Sorry.
Well, until next, Ben will be back next week. Never ending story.
Yeah, he's just working late. He's
all
fine.
right. Thanks, Wesley, for coming on. This
Hey,
was
thanks for
awesome.
having me, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
I just happened to be in town.
All right. Till next week.